Culture and Opinion on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipe Man here on the Adventures of Pipe Man W4CY Radio, and I'm very excited about our next guest and why we're talking to him once again, because definitely one of my favorite bands. Definitely a song they did just recently that I absolutely love their rendition of. So let's welcome to the show John Gallagher from Raven. How are you?
I am doing good, Sir Pipe. How are you?
I am doing phenomenal. So, like, what I love about doing this interview right now is we're talking about doing the No Life Til Leather tribute to Metallica's Kill 'Em All, my favorite Metallica album, by the way. And the fact that you guys did Metal Militia, but most importantly, what I'm really excited about is I was at that show at the Country Club in LA when you played with Metallica in August of 1983.
That was a hell of a show. I remember that. Yep.
Oh my God. And you know, that is what amazes me. There were so many iconic type shows in the 80s that it always amazes me that when I bring up certain shows like that, that artists that have been doing it as long as you have, like those are the shows that stick in your mind.
Well, it was a big deal, and it was pretty funny as well because we'd hear Laws in particular. Ah, man, LA sucks, LA sucks, LA sucks. We go to LA, and all of a sudden these boxes come out with the brand new cymbals, and he's polishing them. What's this? Why you been playing those shitty cymbals all tour? He goes, it's LA, man. So that was pretty funny, but it was, California. Here we are. It was great, for three kids from Newcastle. That was a pretty big deal. Here's all we've seen on the TV shows,
Right. And I mean, I had already listened to your music, but then when I saw it live, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Because one of the things about your band too is you sound just as good live as you do on a studio album, which isn't always the case with bands.
No, and the other thing is when you hear our music, which is rather crazy and energetic, and then you see us play on stage and we're rather crazy and energetic.
Exactly.
I remember the first time I saw Motorhead, I'd heard them like, wow, this is kind of really rough, raw, and basic. They must be crazy on stage. And when I saw them, they could barely stand up. They were so drunk. It's like, nah, that doesn't quite work.
Oh my, that was most of LA though. I mean, I grew up in Jersey and my dad moved me to LA in 1980. Imagine a time to move to LA and be a teenager. I was 12.
That was you were there when it was all happening. That's pretty cool.
I know, right? It was wild. And it is funny what you're saying about LA because it was true. Like, and then it was really bad once Metallica and Slayer left LA and went to the Bay Area because then we weren't left with anything in LA. And me and my bro used to like hitchhike up to the Bay Area so we could go to real shows because, as you know, the whole dynamic of metal changed at that point in time.
Yeah, it was sponsored by Sephora, I think.
I know, right? Oh, my God. But I saw the video for Metal Militia. Well, first of all, the minute I got the email from Liz, I responded immediately, which I don't always do. I'm like, are there any interviews for this? Because this is cool. Just the whole idea of doing this tribute to Kill 'Em All. And then I watched the video for Metal Militia, and oh my God, that same 80s energy that you had then, you have in that video now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's what we do. there's nothing more, I I guess, uninspiring than to see a bunch of old guys trading on past glories. Like, they will turn the guitars down a bit and will be the jangle, and here's the acoustic folk, drugged out version of what we used to do. Now, that we've always said, if that ever happened, shoot me in the head. Uh, we are more energetic now than we were then, and you know, we may be old farts, but we're definitely crazy old farts. Let me tell you.
It's funny you should say that because I just turned 59. And I could tell you, I'm probably in better shape for the mosh pit now than I was at 16.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's so true. Like you see bands like yourself, that are up there still. Like I think about it too. Like how many people can really still stay true to their music of when they were, back in the 80s today. And that's what's so cool about Raven because like it's true. You guys are just as fast, loud, energetic, and brutal as you ever were.
Yeah, and fun. I mean, we definitely have a lot of fun, and we like to pretend to be stand-up comedians for at least occasionally. But touch wood, as they say, or
Right?
touch wood. We'll talk about that later. But I can still hit all the notes I could hit when I was, 22, 23.
Man,
So
that's a testament of like
it happened too
your
often.
like work to do that because I don't know. I sang thrash metal for a little while when I was a teenager. I would never be able to do it today. Like I couldn't. I I don't know many bands that can hold that. Even Slayer, like Tom can't really do those screams he did back in the 80s.
Well, he's got those neck issues, hasn't he? I mean,
Yeah, that's tough.
you know how he feels. My neck's cricked out like 3 days ago, and I've been in agony. But all part of the fun of getting old.
I know. And me, I have osteoarthritis in the neck, and I still headbang at every show I go to, and I still go in the pit. And I'm like, I'm still an idiot. I remember way back being a teenager, I would headbang at shows like at the country club, and I would get like this migraine headache and just keep doing it till the adrenaline pumped so hard I didn't feel the headache anymore.
That old saying, you don't stop having fun because you get old. It's you get old because you stop having fun.
Yes, 100%. Look at Ozzy. I
Laugh.
mean,
We're 18-year-old with 50 years experience.
exactly. Listen, I have 4 kids, 8 grandkids. None of them can keep up with me. I'm like, what's wrong with you people? You should have the energy. And here I am. Like I was just saying to my grandson today, I was like, why can't you keep up with me? I'm your grandfather. Come on.
Amateurs.
Right? So what how did this come about that you were recruited to do Metal Militia for this album?
Well, we were actually recording it was the last album. It wasn't the EP, it was the last album, All Hell's Breaking Loose. And it was the first record for Silver Lining. And they said, as part of the deal here, could you guys do a Metallica cover for a Metallica cover album we're doing? And this is going to be Diamond Head and Saxon. And we're like, yeah, why not? That'd be fun. But what song? And they gave us a choice of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 songs. And it was like Metal Militia. That's the craziest song. Let's do that and let's rev it up and let's have, let's twist. So we put a few things in, and unfortunately they make us take a few things out because of standards and practices and video synchronization rates. And so I can't even tell you. I can tell you there was a bit at the end which was really funny, and we had to take it off, unfortunately. But we did get to do a jazz version of a song at the beginning, which no one will be able to figure out, but we know what it is. I had to slip a little bit of Cliff in the middle, and we changed the arrangement, added a few extra riffs and cut a few down and Ravenized it, but it's still true to the original, you know, because the original is crazy. So we wanted to keep that spirit. And one thing that came right up is Mike went, Mark should sing this. He's got the voice for this. I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Because he's got that rough kind of Bon Scott. And for this, he actually sounds like James on half of it. It's hilarious.
He does kind of, you know, like I was wondering that at first. I was like, okay, so I'm curious before I even saw it. I'm like, I'm curious why chose Mark to sing on it. And then I saw, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. You know?
That's the first time Mark sung lead since Rock Hard back in 1982. And we're like, it's like the secret weapon. Absolutely.
Right?
Oh,
right?
You know, long overdue. So we got to do that. I sing harmonies for a change, and it was just great. And Mike's insane on it, on the drums, of course. So it was a no-brainer for us. We banged that up with the arrangement very quickly. We say, what do you think of this? Yeah. Boom. Everyone stuck a 10 cents into it there. And put that cool dun, 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 little bit like that, the riff in it, and great fun. And did it and forgot all about it until it was like, yeah, finally, the other bands have done this stuff, so it's going to come out. It's coming out in like 3 weeks. Can you do a video? I'm like, what? So we said, well, there's the Metallica connection. We have a strong connection with Metallica from day one. Let's use video from the show we did with them a couple of years ago in Fort Lauderdale, the tribute to John and Marsha Zazula.
Yeah.
A bunch of classic photographs. So that's definitely a freeze frame. What's this? What's this? What's this? So it's, you know, it bears repeated viewing for sure.
As an old schooler, that was definitely me when I started seeing the pictures. I'm like, oh, wow. It's actually funny because, funny story, I was the first quote unquote merch dude for Armored Saint.
Oh,
way back when. Joey and I have talked about this because we've been friends this day, but we've talked about it on interviews. And he like blew my mind one interview because he brought something up I didn't even know. So it basically happened. I was like, I don't know, 15 or something like that, 14. And me and my bro went up to Armored Saint. They didn't have any merch. And we used to see them all the time. Like we became like friends with them. And we're like, hey, if we make your T-shirts and pins, can we sell them at your show? And we'll give you 50%. They're like, sure. You know? And so during this interview, Joey goes to me, you know, that famous picture, and it reminded me when I saw the old pictures he had in the video. There's this famous picture of Lars when he was like 15 or something like that, you know, really young. He was wearing an Armored Saint shirt and holding a guitar. Huh. And it's like, you could find it on the internet. It's like all over. And he goes, you know, that's your shirt. I'm like, oh my God, you're shitting me. And he goes, and Lars still has it. And I'm like, no way. I don't even have it anymore. He goes, neither do I. I'm like, that's the coolest thing. So then I go on tour and I do festivals, doing interviews at festivals and press coverage all over the US, UK, Europe. And I was doing one festival and I was interviewing Lars kids who have a band. And it was like the second time I was interviewing them. And usually when I interview the kids, like I've interviewed all the kids of Metallica. It's pretty funny. But I don't bring up the parents. Like they're there to make their own mark. So like, I'm not interviewing you so we can talk about Metallica or Lars. I'm interviewing you for your band. But it was so funny. We were talking off the interview, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't really want to talk about your dad on the interview because it's all about you. But, and I told him that story. I'm like, I wonder if he does really have it. And he goes, and his kids go, yeah, he probably does. He has a whole big closet of like every shirt he's ever had that's a metal shirt.
Yeah, I think him and James are the hoarders for sure.
I love it though. I mean, that's so cool. I have this image in my head now walking into his closet and it's like some big shrine to metal.
Yeah, well, we went up. We were recording the All Hell's Breaking Loose record at Mike's place when he lived in LA, and I don't know how it came about. It was like, why don't we go up and talk to James or Lars, record it, if they're cool with it, and talk about the Kill 'Em All for One tour, just so we got it if we need it for anything in the future, whatever. Yeah, perfect. Let's do that. Because we'd done something for them along the same lines. They've been trolling around, getting video and interviews with everyone on God's earth. So we went up and James wanted to do it. So we go into Metallica HQ, and it's very cool. It's the room you see on all the videos.
Yeah.
And let's go to the other room. They have a second room because apparently Journey owned half of it and Journey left. So they spread out. So they have the studio. They have some cabinets that are all walled off for recording. And there's a big space and some gear. Like, yeah, we'll put a table here. We'll do it here. And as we walk in, there's a flight case. And it has Burke Shelley, Budgie, and me and my brother freak out.
Wow.
Because next to it is the 1x freaking 18 Vox bass cabinet that we saw Budgie playing through in 1975.
Wow.
And the 200-watt Marshall Major bass amp that he played through. So we're freaking. And James comes in. He goes, oh, what do you think? I said, I don't care about that. What about this? Yeah. This is, that's my collection habit. It had to go to a good home, because Burke had died. So
yeah.
And when we went in the studio, producer Greg said, have you seen this? And there's Burke's bass.
Oh,
I'm like, the bass too? He goes, yeah, you ever played it? I says, I have once. We played with Budgie way back and they were lovely guys. He goes, that's the best Fender Precision I've ever recorded. And it's all over the new album. So that's all over 72 seasons. Robert played that on that.
Wow.
How cool is that? And then, of course, James says, that's not it. There's more. We go in the hall between the two and look up on the wall, and there's the mirrored logo of Thin Lizzy with the lights all around it.
Whoa.
When Phil Lynott died, they threw all the trash out from the lockup into skips, into dumpsters, and one of the roadies went, nah. Pulled out the thing and kept it in his house for like, whatever, 15, 20 years before selling it. And somehow James sold me. I'm having that.
Wow.
They got all the flags and stuff from fans all over the world, and right in the middle is the Thin Lizzy logo.
Oh, man. See, I love hearing stuff like that because it just said, you know what it says to me? That
they're fans like everyone else.
Exactly.
They got deeper pockets, but they're fans like all we are, so that's cool.
See, that's the best part of a lot of musicians that I know in metal is they're fans first, musicians second, and
you got to be, because that's what got you, that's what pulled you in the first place is the music.
Yes. 100%.
We're blessed to grow up in that period of time, and where we lived, Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England, the venues, there was two venues, and they both held about 2,000, 2,500 people. One was a theatre and one was a club. And so you'd see all the bands that in America, they'd be playing arenas, but when they came to England, this is all there was, so they played there. So the worst seat in the house was like one of the best seats in the house in America. You're right there. Oh, there's Richie Blackmore. There's, Ian.
Wow.
Wishbone Ash, Status Quo, Slade, whoever, and we got to see almost all the bands up close and personal. And that was our education. That was our YouTube. That was our, guitar tablature and all that. Watching these guys, watching Uriah Heep going freaking apeshit. Yeah, that's what it was all about.
Yep. And that's what it felt like in LA too, and then it's funny. I tell this story a lot to old school metalheads because they all like, wow. I used to go to this record store in the Valley, not far from the country club. And that's where I would like find all my new metal music because there was this record store clerk there. Every time we walk in, he'd say, "Oh, you got to check this band out." And that's, by the way, that's how I found out about Raven. And I think it was the Wiped Out album. Like, he's like, "You got to check this album out." And so that was Brian Slagle.
Yeah, we met Brian in Newcastle in 1982 when we were opening for Girls' School, and he came to Newcastle and he gave us all the stickers, the new Heavy Metal Review. And Mark was in a car accident when him and Rob were going down to London to do an interview, and got freaking T-boned by a semi, and Mark's pants burst open. So he spent the week with the new Heavy Metal Review stickers holding his pants up.
Oh, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. So, I can't believe here we are all these years later, and like No Life Till Leather. I mean, to me, this is probably one of the most amazing releases this century. I'll just put it that way. This century.
Well, the little bit I've heard, the cool thing is because often there's these, compilation cover records, and they can be a little bit cheesy. They can be a little goofy, but I think genuine respect for sure, and it's a cool album. It's not just. I hate when people just retread when they do a cover song. Let's play it because you may have modern production, but otherwise, what's the point? You're not bringing. You got to bring some of yourself into it.
Oh, no doubt.
Take it somewhere. So I think I'm still waiting on my copy of that. But the few I've heard, people have absolutely done the songs justice, and it's cool.
I think the coolest part about it too is like you're talking about different bands that are on there, like you and Saxon and Diamond Head. I mean, to me, I think it's pretty cool Diamond Head coming on this album to make a Metallica song, like it's like full circle type of thing. And then, you guys having the tour with Metallica and like Saxon having Metallica open for Saxon. I was at that show too. And it's like, it's a tribute to the people that in some ways made Metallica in a sense,
Yeah, like, we were all there.
Right.
I mean, Metallica's early shows, they famously played with Saxon. Lars famously slept on the floor and trailed around with Diamond Head. I mean, and we brought them out on tour. So there's a definite connection where it's not, let's bring 4 or 5 guys. Remember that plague of records that came out in the late 80s, early 90s? All these guys in LA. Come on, let's pick 5 guys, go and record a bunch of rock songs. Let's go.
Yeah.
Just thrown together. It really was. This wasn't thrown together. It was done, with a love for the music. So I think it speaks with that. Absolutely.
1,000,000%. And so I will tell you too, going back to what you said, your beginning of Metal Militia, that kind of blew my mind too. Okay. And now that you explained it a little bit, but at first I was a little thrown off at first. And I was like, well, so this is really cool. And what I thought was really cool about it is songs don't have that today. Like back in the 80s, some of the best songs had these intros that led into the song that you did not expect what was coming next. Like you take Battery by Metallica. If you only listen to the first 10 seconds, you don't even know what the song is. Or the most famous of all is Fast as a Shark. Like that beginning, like
you knew something loud was coming, and it was just, for Germans, that's a hell of a sense of humor, let me tell you.
I know, right? Totally. So
and Wolf and the boys did very good on that. And we played with them the first date of that tour of theirs in Belgium. That was very cool. Absolutely. And they were very friendly and very helpful. But I forgot what the hell I was going to say. Yeah, the beginning of that song. I can't tell you what it is, but someone with a more maybe a musical sense of what's going on might be able to figure it out.
I love the mystery.
I had the idea, let's take a bit of this and put at the beginning and say, it's too ordinary. What if we did 50s jazz? And we were rolling around the floor laughing. It's like, yeah, go for it.
I love it.
And then, of course, bang, it slams in. So it really works.
See, I think that's what was the best about a lot of mellow songs back then that you don't really have now is the surprise. Like it hits you in the face.
Dynamic and a bit of surprise. It's, that's basically how we write all our music. There's form, there's function, but there's left turns.
Yeah.
Boom, what slap in the face? What the hell was that? And that's, if you do that all the time, then it's jazz fusion. There's no point of reference. But if you have, okay, they're going to, what the hell was that? Bring it, let me listen to that again. And that's the fun part, absolutely.
Totally. Well, you guys are badass. Always have been, always will be. I love that you were on this album. And everybody has to get a piece of this album because this is a piece of history. And I thank you for participating and giving us great metal all these years. And thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipe Man.
Not at all. And this was very timely because I don't know if you knew, I had an accident where I had to have brain surgery.
I heard.
I'm getting it back together. So this was very timely and filled a little hole. So it keeps the ball rolling until next year. And, we'll be touring in the spring. We'll be in the States is what we're planning, and Europe and new recordings, blah, blah, blah. We shall be very busy.
I love it. I hope to see a lot more of you next year. And man, God bless you for, going through all you're going through health wise. And I wouldn't be able to notice. So there you go.
I just occasionally keep doing that, so that's the only fact. And I have the great excuse for anything I screw up. I just talk to Mark and Mike and I go, don't you realize I had brain surgery?
There you go. That is like the best excuse right there.
Get out a jail card for everything. It's great.
There it is. Well, you haven't lost a step ever. And man, I look forward to seeing a lot more of you in 2026 at festivals I'm at. Hopefully you're there. And I'm putting this out there in the world, all the Danny Wimmer festivals in the States, they have to put you on. Which
strangle him on.
Say that again?
That would be nice. Go strangle him and get us on.
Let's do it. And I have one last story I want to tell you, reference to Metallica and festivals. So I was at Download a couple years ago doing press coverage. Metallica, I go there every year, but Metallica was headlining. Right. So apparently they have this new type of sound system, Metallica specifically, that no matter where you are in a festival, it sounds like you're right up at the rail.
Right.
And okay, so, and what it's like up, at Download, like it's farmlands forever. 15 miles away, people were calling the police and complaining because the music was too loud. They could hear Metallica loud and clear in their house 15 miles away.
You gotta love it. Brilliant.
I know. I wouldn't complain. I'd be like, oh, free show. Great. I love it.
Get the recorder out.
Right? Like the old days.
Exactly.
Well, John, it's been a pleasure. And man, you did Metal Militia some justice. As somebody that's an old schooler myself, a lot of times, like you said, with covers, it's kind of tough to beat the original or to even come close. But you did put the Raven spin on it, and it did, with your brother singing. I mean, it was almost like James was channeling into him.
That's the way we saw it. But thank you. And we'll see you in 2026. Have a grand Thanksgiving to you.
And you have a great rest of the holidays, and keep on rocking.
I'll do.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipe Man on W4CY Radio.